Oh, yeah. Here with Earl Skakel on the podcast.
The real deal.
The real deal. Inappropriate Earl Zone, Earl Skakel.
Yes, I'm in the flesh.
Good to have you here, buddy.
Dude, you're one of the few people I actually like in the world of comedy, in this world of pit bulls and vipers. Proof that nice guys can be successful in this business.
Oh, wow. Earl and I have been late night warriors at the store together for years. Just trying to crack each other up long before we were paid regulars there.
I mean, the lineups are so stacked at the Comedy Store, like from 10 to 12:15, it's all TV comics. So even though like you and I are super funny guys, and there's Joe Dosh and many others, it's like there's no room for us to go on other than the end of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's like being number 9 in a batting order. It's like, well, Jose Canseco's number 4. You're not going to go on before him. That's for you old baseball freaks.
We got a lot of old baseball freaks who tune into the show.
But, you know, it's like, even if we were to get a bigger TV credit,
I mean, it's like, yeah, the talent is so huge. It's like, yeah, who are you gonna go before? Really, it wouldn't really make sense.
I mean, there's what, 15 spots? I don't know how many spots.
Somewhere around there.
15 spots. You know, the first probably 12 are Sebastian, D'Elia, Whitney Cummings,
Rogan, Marin, Segura, Kreischer, all
Diaz.
those guys. Yeah.
I mean, there's nowhere. Either you go on toward the end or you don't go on.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who'll take the 12, 15 or spots we get. So
oh, heck yeah.
Just shut up, be happy your name's on the wall, and get some more TV credits if you don't like your spots, you idiots.
You hear that, other comedians?
Yeah. So instead of messaging Adam, why aren't it going up more? Well, how about getting credits and then you go up more? Or hit the Laugh Factory. Just be good looking. That's the requirement to get on that lineup. Sorry, I'm keeping it real. This isn't bitter. This is honesty.
Just letting it flow, dude. Letting it flow.
Well, you're like the opposite of me. You're like Mr. Nice Guy, and you don't cause waves, which is why you're successful. I approach from the other side of the fence of it's a fine line of sticking up for yourself and being honest, but without being bitter.
Would you consider yourself like kind of like a wrestling heel of comedy?
Well, I think a lot of people have come up to me recently within the last, I'd say, 6 months and say, dude, you're sounding a little bitter. And I'm really not. Like, I got a big dick. I got money. I got a condo that's paid off. I got a car, a Dodge Hellcat 2018 that's paid off. Well, it's a lease, I'll be honest with you on that one. But life is good.
And I can testify to everything that Earl has said. Unfortunately, I've seen all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, you got a big hammer, show it. You don't, keep it in your pants. But I mean, I have an insane love of pro wrestling.
I feel like there's a wood carving of that somewhere.
Oh,
if you got a big hammer, it's like
it's in the back of every open mic in LA. Trust me on that one. Oh, I can't do the glasses thing. These headphones. I can't do my signature bit.
He does a bit where it's like the old, like Little Rascals thing.
Any joke that bombs, if you do that, it automatically makes the joke better.
It's a save.
And I do it at least a few times in my set.
It's a good saver. We used to sit in the back of the store all the time and watch Don Barris go on for like over an hour probably at the end of the night, like, and just he's so good about like allowing people to play with him and kind of be a part of his set, that some of the stuff that Earl would do and say from the back of the room, and Teeb would be back there, Jason Tebow, and Hinchcliffe for a long time. Yeah, we'd all be back there. That was kind of a cool era whenever we were all kind of available enough to that we didn't have anything better to do, so we were just kind of trying to crack each other up from the back of the room.
I mean, if you look at the talent that's in that back row, and none of us, I don't think we're trying to make it or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we weren't back there to, oh my God, I hope there's a TV exec. There's no TV exec in the OR at 1:30.
It's literally a pit of darkness, and like you're lucky if there's like some tourists there from Australia.
Yeah, it's like literally a garage comedy. We're just practicing our timing and improv at really the highest level. Like, because you have to be listening to what Don's saying, and then I have to listen to what you're saying and not overstep your lines or
not overstep with Don. Let him do his thing.
Because it is his. Ultimately, it's his stage time.
Oh yeah.
So you have to be respectful. It's like, okay, he's letting us play, like you say, and it's a tough room. It's very much like roast battle where you either kill or you bomb.
Yeah, it's sink or swim for sure.
Like there's no in between. It's like it's either kills and everyone in the back laughs, or it eats it.
And that's what was tough, like for me, like as a comic and anybody else who was back there. You're trying to get in the store, and you're also just trying to make your friends laugh. But like if you bombed during those late night times with Don in the back, like all the comics kind of looked at you like, oh man, that sucked, and that like made you better. Because you're like, you have to improve immediately, because if you threw out a bomber, then you'd have to think of something immediately to try to cleanse the palate of everybody in the room. So at the end of the night, people were like, hey man, that was funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, back then, and almost even today, you still want the respect of your peers.
Yeah. And Adam used to hang out in the back as well before he was talent coordinator. But it was so funny. Like he used to hang out so late before he got bogged down, with a bunch of comics and stuff like that.
Now he would take the Concorde out of that parking lot. I mean, you talk about the toughest job. To be the booker of the number one club in the country. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's, I miss those days to a degree. I mean, obviously we're past now and we're, on TV and all that stuff, which is awesome. But like, you kind of miss the, the halcyon days of when we weren't trying to climb over, and not that we're trying to do that now, but like you miss the genuineness and the eagerness of, hey, I just want to be funny in front of Jeremiah and Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're kind of like, oh, I got to have a good set tonight. You never know who's in the room.
Right. Like and I'm working on these jokes specifically, or I'm trying to develop this. And back then it's just like, we had already done our spots for the night, or we just weren't getting up at all at the Comedy Store. And we were just happy to be there and excited to be there,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the number one club in the country for a couple of years now. And, like, you never know who's in the room. Even back then, Don's association with Kimmel, Cousin Sal has been in that room many a times when we were throwing out zingers. And, so there was always something to gain by being funny in that room. So I miss those days, but I don't. Like,
well, I mean, it's like a graduation thing. Like after we did it for years. I mean, how long did it take you to get past at the store? Like in total?
I mean, I went up there in 2000. I saw Brody Stevens, who I love now, but back then I didn't know him, so I didn't appreciate his shtick.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him make an open micer cry. I think the second time I'd done Potluck.
Brody made an open micer cry?
He was hosting. And the OR is a tough room, and back then was a million times tougher. Like,
oh, absolutely.
We all love roast battle, and people think that's the bee's knees of like thick skin and aggressive comedy. Roast battle has nothing on the Comedy Store in the early 2000s in terms of when Danish and O'Neill would host the open mic. I mean, they made people cry. But Brody, this open micer from La Jolla had bombed pretty badly. And Brody was like, where are you from? And the guy's like, La Jolla. And Brody's like, well, that drive just got a lot longer. And the kid literally ran out crying. I've never seen him since. And it was very much an aggressive atmosphere. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I left for about 7-8 years. I just did open mics in other clubs. and then I started coming up around 2009. So 13 years total to get right around when roast battles started taking off. So it was a great time of getting past roast battles, starting to climb, and then every year it's been better.
Yeah, Earl and I actually showcased together. Whenever Earl got passed, and he got passed with Candace Thompson, and it was one of those things where whenever you got passed, and it was like me, Kyle Ray, maybe Jessica
Sandro,
Michelle
I think.
Singleton, Sandro. It was one of those things where after it happened, of like as bad as I wanted it,
Right.
I was nothing but happy for you guys because I knew how long specifically you had been after that. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where I was like, I'll get another time. This is my time right now. Because I was like, Earl's been freaking, he's at the top of the list as far as dues paying had been going there.
But I mean, it almost hurt me. But I mean, all of us did well that night. So it was just really boiled down to, I mean, I don't know why Adam picked who he picked that particular night, but like any one of us could have been passed. But it goes back to almost the lineups today. It's like you can't pass 5 people.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so, but I know in my case, everyone was going up to Adam going, you got to pass Earl. He's been up here the longest. He's been, effed over by Tommy, and it almost worked against me because Adam came up to me, and I don't think he would mind me saying this. He's like, dude, I'm going to showcase you, but if you don't do well, I can't pass you. Like, I know everyone loves you up here, and like, but I wouldn't have wanted to get passed that way.
No, it would have felt wrong. You had a great set that night, and you deserved to get passed. But like, if you would have had like a kind of so-so set, and then you got passed after all this time, and then people were like, "Well, he is giving it to it because he's just one of the guys here." Then it's like, "Oh, well, that sucks."
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what like Tommy would do sometimes. He'd kind of pass these, people. Like one guy was giving him studio time. No, it's true though. Like,
yeah.
He, I won't say the guy's name because he was a pretty nice guy, but another guy was giving him weed, and there was a lot more. I don't want to say deserving people, but there was a lot of people who could help Adam out more than I could. I can't give him anything, in terms of like, hey, I can get you in with Netflix or Comedy Central. I've got nothing to offer you. So I lucked out, and then you got passed shortly thereafter. And,
yeah.
I believe if you're funny and you fit the store, you'll get passed eventually. But even today, it's like you could never have another showcase ever, and there's not enough spots. Like, there's 15 spots a night.
Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, so like there's probably 100 comics who are good enough to be passed.
I mean, look at like Brad Williams just got passed. He's been a touring headliner for years, has multiple Showtime specials, and he had to start like coming and hanging out. And this is after he's already established himself at other clubs and everything like that. And he just got passed after all of that because he still, had to show face and show interest in the club and be like, yo, I want to be here. And he was going up on Potluck, like in the
crazy.
A national touring headliner, and he, put his ego to the side and just made it happen, which I thought was pretty freaking cool.
Well, I mean, the store just has this magic quality the other clubs don't. The Improv's a great club. I love the Improv. I can't say I love the laugh.
Well, some of the things that we did late night at the store literally could not happen at any other club in the country.
Oh my God, you'd get banned.
Letters, banned, all this stuff, legal stuff. There's like this like safe haven kind of like this bubble over the store where it's kind of like an agreement. Like if you're coming here, you're cool. Like you might see some weird stuff tonight, but like everybody's gonna have a good time and be cool with it. Like you used to do this thing where where you used to do this Buffalo Bill thing a lot, where you would tuck your dick between your legs and be shirtless, and you come out from behind the curtains, and they would play the Buffalo Bill music from Silence of the Lambs. And that was just like one of the bits that happened late night and it was just like this, like, I remember people be like running in the back hall. I'd be like, Earl's doing Buffalo Bill. Earl's doing Buffalo Bill. And people would like flood into the OR to see it.
I brought it back the other night.
Did you? Oh.
because Ryan O'Neal was on before me and he was killing. And I almost don't like inviting people to see me at the store because I don't want to bomb in front of people I know.
Yeah.
Like, and a couple of guys, and I'm not name dropping, but it's a situation. A couple guys from Slash's band were there because I'm friends with them, and O'Neal was killing, and I'm starting to panic on how do I follow this. He's just, and I just like, well, there's one way to follow it, and a couple minutes in, I was doing pretty well. I'm like, Josh Martin was in the room, and I said what the wrestler Rick Rude would say when he would take off his robe: hit the music. And he knew instantly what to do. And Josh Martin saved me. He went there. And he couldn't find the song, so I was like having to do bits from behind the curtain while I'm taking off my clothes. I'm like, hey, doctor said wrecked him, killed him. Anything, just kill time. And then Josh just like gives me the cue. And it might have been I can't say it was a set, but like it might have been the best audience reaction I've ever gotten in the OR. I felt like a rock star. And I felt so bad for Davey Wester because he had to go on after me.
Oh, no.
I made $50 in tips because there was a bachelorette party in there. And
I bet they were freaking out.
Oh, they were drunk, but they sobered up real fast when the hammer hit the stage.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a great big fat person. And they're like, take your clothes off. Leave it off. I'm like, honey, $50. Sure enough, $50 came flying at me. And, I had put my dick pic. I pull out my dick pic on my phone and I put it on the stool right in front. And there's like a group of gay guys in the front row, and they were loving it. I mean, it's not something you could do. If the talent coordinator from Conan was there, he's like, I can't use this, but this is pretty funny. So it was almost like a worthless set from the standpoint of there's no way I could do that any other club or any TV show. But, in the OR, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, survival of the fittest in that room.
Because it's like Late Night with Don or like upstairs in roast battles. Sometimes in the OR, it's they either love you or they hate you.
Oh, it's kill or be killed in there. And if you're bombing, you might as well lean into the bomb because you at least need to get some kind of reaction so there's still some kind of energy in the room just so it's for the next comic they can do something with it. No energy. I was talking to Brody about this. Brody's like, I'd rather have negative energy in a room and try to turn it around than have no energy at all.
Yeah, and that room is a vacuum when there's no energy. There's no life. You can hear glasses clanking in the kitchen. You can hear conversations in the parking lot because the hallway echoes. So if someone's talking in the parking lot, you pick up the conversation, but when you're doing well, you don't hear anything but the laughs.
Yeah.
So it's a very I still say it's the toughest room I've ever played in.
Yeah. You would the Buffalo Bill thing, what you do occasionally is a comic would be on stage and you would go up there for a comic that maybe wasn't doing that well, and you would time it perfectly where when the comic hit their punchline, like now's where you laugh kind of thing, and it wasn't very good jokes though, Earl would be behind the curtain and time it perfectly, and he would pop out Buffalo Bill style, shirtless, completely naked, dick tucked, and the room would explode with laughter. So the comic, he starts like feeling himself and getting more confidence as it goes, completely unaware that there's a dude that's mostly naked right behind him helping him kill the room.
I mean, I started to get that idea. There was a place called the Knitting Factory, and it was on Sunday nights. It's one of the hotter rooms. This is when I wouldn't go to the store. I would go other places, and there was this comic on there, and I'll give him a plug. Probably the worst comic I've ever worked with.
Oh, boy, what a plug.
Peter Prenz, his guitar comic who played like he had 12 broken fingers and had the personality of Kurt Cobain after the suicide. He was bombing one night horribly, and it was real awkward. You had like Swartzen in the room, and Anthony Clark, and Ian Bagg. I mean, it was tons of talent. And I'm like, I got to do something so these guys don't leave. So I went behind the stage, and there was a hole in the curtain. It was just big enough for me to put my dick through. And he never changed his set, so I knew when the punchlines were coming. So like you said, I would listen, and then when I would hear the punchline coming, I would put my boner through the curtain, and he was killing. Like, you would have thought he was like Dane Cook at the Garden or Sebastian at the Greek Theater. So the next night, we're at Ireland's 32, which was a pretty cool open mic in Burbank, and he's doing the same set, bombing. I mean, just eating a shit burger that Arby's would serve up. And he comes up to me outside afterwards. He's like, dude, I don't know what happened. Last night I killed with the same set. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, dude. Tough crowd. Too bad there wasn't a curtain with a hole in it, you dummy. But back then at open mics and stuff, you know, it was just very much the same. Like, you would do it. I would whip out my dick just to get the room going.
Oh, dude. Okay, first off, how did you get a boner behind a curtain? How did you summon the strength? Are you just one of those skilled guys that?
I mean, back then I was. Now I'm 49. I got to go to 7-Eleven and get the Rhino Blaster. I took one the other night called Black Mamba. I literally turned into a black mamba. I don't even know what that is.
That's interesting. The CEO of a boner pills company is actually calling in right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, this is Ron Popeil. I used to sell ovens and frying pans on television.
You used to sell ovens and frying pans on television?
Yeah, everyone's seen the Ron Popeil toaster and the blender, but I have now got into the lucrative market of dick pills.
Okay, so you used to sell frying pans. So you're used to working with hard things that are firm and no slip grip, right?
Yeah, tell me about it.
I think your phone's cutting in a little bit in and out. I think you're gonna have to talk into your receiver a little bit more directly.
I can't get any
There it
closer
is.
to this thing. Jesus Christ, where'd you? Hello, Ron. I'm sorry, I'm driving through Malibu right now. I've got a new mansion that I've bought from my sale of the Black Mamba.
So you've a new line of boner pills coming out called the Black Mamba?
Yeah, it's really just crushed up Viagra mixed with niacin and boron.
Is that technically legal to do, to put that out there?
Well, that's why I can't give you my exact address. And by the way, you notice my voice sounds just like your guest Earl's.
Yeah, well, he's a big fan of your product. Is that actually a side effect from using the boner pills? Do you start kind of sounding like similar to Earl?
Yeah, you take a Black Mamba and you instantly become funny with a big hammer, about 9 inches, but 10 and a half in the right mouth.
Wait, I don't understand the math on that. So you're saying that you have the power to gain an extra 1.5 inches if the right mouth is doing its job down there?
And 12 if it's Jimmy Rogers' hands.
Jimmy Rogers?
This gay guy hangs out at the store.
Oh.
This guy is so...
I wasn't aware. I thought you were talking. I was looking for somebody that was like a big celebrity, but you said it like confidently, like everybody knows that name.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Rogers is so gay that he makes Tom Hanks at the end of Philadelphia look straight.
Well, he's a good dude. I'm glad that you're friends with him.
Acquaintances.
Acquaintance, perfect. Well, do you have any advice for anybody that might be struggling with some erectile dysfunction, or would you recommend them to any other products?
Yeah, well, there's a few things they can do depending on your age. If you're in your 20s and you're having erectile dysfunction, don't jack off. You got to save it. Save your chi, they call it.
Okay.
So that way, when you get a live one, you can just give her a nice blast of your baby batter. Now, as you get older, it's a little hard to... your testosterone drops after about 30. It drops significantly. So you have to supplement what you have. There's plenty of natural herbs. There's a boron. There's a taurine, which is made from bull semen. And
that's in Red Bull, isn't it?
yeah, that's crazy. No wonder you feel so much energy.
Yeah, it gives you wings, gives you something else.
You can get some real nice loaders drinking a Red Bull, and Yohimbe's another natural herb.
It's so funny. I didn't catch your name. I don't think CEO of this of the Black Mamba company.
So Ron Popeil.
That's right, Ron Popeil.
Popeil.
Popeil, sorry.
Popeil. I'm the really tan guy you see on late night TV. Typically, my commercials air after that Flex Seal guy, that fat idiot.
Oh, we're all fighting for better time slots,
Yeah, welcome to the Comedy Store. I think Adam books late night infomercials.
Well, Ron, you sound very similar to Earl. You even have the down.
That's the side effect of
That's a
Black Mamba.
That's a side effect of Black Mamba. You get Earl Skakel syndrome.
Can I plug some new products that are coming in?
I would love to hear your new products that are coming out soon.
As they say in the infomercial world, these are coming soon. Get it? Coming soon.
Oh, I get it, Ron. Yep, sound effects and all.
Got Black Snake, which
Well, what's the difference between Black Snake and Black Mamba?
Black Mamba is a little more aggressive in our ingredients.
Okay.
We have Yohimbe.
Yohimbe.
We have maca root. We have Tonkat Ali. And Black Snake is a little. We take out the Yohimbe because Yohimbe is made from a tree bark, which literally you can't. Black Mamba is made for guys in their 40s and up, and a lot of people. Well, why not just try Cialis or Viagra? You can try those as well, but I don't make any money off those. That goes to the Pfizer Corporation. But through trial and error, I've found, in my mind, the perfect mixture of ingredients. And Black Mamba is available for $12.99 at all 7-Elevens and Sunset Oil Gas Station on Sunset and San Vicente.
And then you mentioned Black Snake. Now, what's that?
It's a more natural alternative. It won't give you quite the blaster that Black Mamba will.
Now you're saying that you'll get more, as you using your words here, you'll get more baby batter out of it if you use these products.
Well, there's also it's in product development right now. Of course, our product tester had to take a few days off to a reload, so to speak.
Right,
it's called
right.
Semen Max.
Okay.
And that's if you have no, some men have trouble producing semen. Like, if you come, a little drip comes out.
If you come, only a little bit of dribble, which, we all know that ladies don't like that.
Right. They like just a big volcano, like guys are just blasting into their face like a glazed donut. I recommend, some people take Red Bull and vodka. I have a unproven combo that I think most of my clients like. It's a shot of Red Bull with Black Mamba and Semen Max. And let's just say your girl will look like a glazed donut at Winchell's after you unleash your load.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, and I'll definitely give you a call back, Ron, if I have any questions, because you covered a lot of bases here today.
And also try a chainsaw balls. That's makes your balls more engorged with blood, which is where the semen is produced. So because I thought there's a market out there of guys with big dicks but with small balls. It's what they call in my business, all meat and no potatoes.
Right, you got to have your potatoes to match the meat.
Yeah, you can't have little gumballs and then have just some massive hammer. It's not visually pleasing to the girl.
Right.
So that's a chainsaw balls. Will give you a nice full brim in the ball sack.
All right, I'm gonna let you go, Ron. Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, I'm pulling into Sunset Oil right now.
Wow, Earl, I can't believe you must have just gotten back, Earl. I was just on the phone with this guy Ron. He's the CEO of a boner company.
Oh yeah, Ron Popeil.
Yeah. Oh, so okay.
Yeah, I was just imitating. Oh, I mean, yeah, I was just. Ron Popeil is that guy who used to sell late night. Everyone's seen him. Does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
He's like this really tan older guy.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about now.
Incredibly tan. He would sell like pancake makers, sandwich makers, anything. the roast beef. You would shove the roast beef in one of his ovens. It looked like Oprah's feet in sandals.
Oh my God.
So, but the guy's a billionaire, literally a billionaire. He's like the Tony Robbins of food invention machines. So, believe me, I wish I was Ron Popeil.
Well, you know what surprised me about Ron Popeil is he was so knowledgeable about all of his products, which was very interesting to me. It sounded like, I was almost like this guy had like spoken from experience,
Well, yeah, I mean, he really was like the Einstein or Thomas Edison of like ovens and pancake makers. And like he had this one, the automatic grilled cheese maker, where you would literally, it just looked like a waffle board, and you would put bread and cheese in it and close the machine, and within 30 seconds you had the perfect grilled cheese. Now, I don't know if it really worked like that in real life, but
the ad sure looked good.
Oh, the ad, the business. I'm sure they had to, shoot that shot, 100 times. And then the poor suckers who lived in Idaho are like, this doesn't work like that.
Have you lived in California your entire life?
Bel Air, California. Not every comic is a struggling baboon living in Valley Village in a studio with 5 other losers.
You do this thing called Attention LA Comics that I appreciate on Twitter and social media, where you just really like, I guess it's just unfiltered Earl whenever you do it, about advice about certain things or certain stigmas or things that are going on. I think a lot of people appreciate that.
Well, I can always tell, and I'm actually, in all seriousness, trying to help comics. Like it might not seem like that,
right?
But even with my recent situation about certain shows, I was keeping it real to be like, you got to stand up for yourself. I am a voice of the voiceless. I speak for the unspoken, the victims of this business. And, I would just, keep it real. And Attention LA Comics, don't tell me great set when you see me when I haven't even gone on yet. And I've had that literally happen. I'll mention this guy's name. I used to open up for Rob Schneider, and Rob's a good friend. He's very good to me still. And I was opening for Rob Schneider at the Canyon Club, which is in Agora Hills, and it's like a lot of '80s metal bands play there, but they get big comic acts. So there's one way in, one way out of the Canyon Club. It's the front, and the stage has a direct view of the front door.
Sure.
So if someone leaves or comes, you see them. So I'm closing out. I think I did 20 minutes. I'm bringing Rob up. I see John Schneider walk in. There's no way to walk behind me to the side door. There's no side door. And he comes up to me after Rob's on stage. He goes, dude, I really love the new material. I'm like, I just saw you walk in.
What are you doing?
He's like, yeah, I love the closer. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
Does he help produce like Tom Green's show?
I used to guest host when Tom Green. He had something to do with it.
Okay, because I think I met him there.
Oh, he's a nice guy, but it's like you don't need to lie to me, like
sure.
So like that's the vein of Attention LA Comics. And I keep it too real sometimes, but I think in the history of me doing it, I've probably done close to 500 Attention LA Comics. Not one person has said, well, that's not true. You shouldn't say that.
No, it's pretty well received whenever you do that stuff.
But I can always tell which ones have the most impact because they're the ones with the fewest likes or tweets. Because
it's like too real, some of them.
Yeah, and I could tell that people don't want to like it. Yeah, like Attention LA Comics. No one cares you're ranked 18th on Roast Battle. So, and then no one will like that.
Because it's too real.
Because it's like number 18's looking at that tweet going, oh, I think he's talking about me. I am.
Earl the Heel Skakel live on Jeremiah Wonders.
Well, I'm like Rick Rude. I'm the likable heel where I think most people root for me. Most.
So you grew up Bel Air. You're from L.A. That's also a rarity, like being in entertainment.
Yeah.
There were some people asking. They were curious. So you're a Kennedy, which you talk about on stage sometimes.
My aunt is Ethel Kennedy.
So how does that work? Like the breakdown as far as like the family tree.
She's my dad's sister.
Mm-hmm.
But the Skakels have more money than the Kennedys. So when people bring it up to me, I'm like, no, I'm not a Kennedy. They're a Skakel. But it's a weird family. And it probably is extended. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the baby. We all get along. We love each other, but we're not like incredibly close, but we love each other. And I think I saw that side of like my dad and his sister one day when we're at the Bel Air Hotel. I was having the $24 burger with fries that most of you would have to save up for a week to eat. And my dad's drinking or whatever, and the waiter comes over and goes, "Mr. Skakel, your sister's over there. She'd like to come over and say hello." And my dad just looks at the waiter and goes, "Nah." Like what? In what family does the sister have to go through a waiter to say hello to her brother? Like, so that's how I was raised. Like, not a terribly close like Walton's type of atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it's probably extended to my current family where we, love each other, but we literally are in a room with each other every 2 years.
How often do you talk to your siblings? You said you have 4 siblings?
2 brothers, 2 sisters. Our hours are so incredibly weird and bizarre that like right now it's 5 p.m., something in that nature.
Yeah.
This is like noon for us.
Yeah, this is early. Like we haven't started our night yet.
Yeah, like we're just kind of getting up and doing our thing. My sister, Virginia, she lives in Sequim, Washington. She's like the mayor of the town. She probably has been up since 5 a.m. She's got kids and, she's got teaches and her husband's in the construction business. They've probably been up for 12 hours already. Yeah. So it's hard to like, when do I call them? I can't call them at like 9 at night. They're probably about to go to bed or are already asleep. And it's the same with my other, they all pretty much have kids and stuff. So they have their own lives. And, at like 10 o'clock at night tonight, I'll be like, who can I call?
Right.
Jeremiah. Like you only really can call other comics because you can't call normal people at 10 at night.
Yeah, it's true. They'd be like, "Oh, is everything okay? Is there an emergency?" They freak. Yeah, it's a very different mindset. What does your family think of your comedy career and like you being a comedian and pursuing comedy over the years and everything?
I mean, they're happy now because I'm a little not that I'm successful. I mean, Russell Peters is successful, but this last couple of years have been my most successful. But
yeah, well, there's been some cool stuff that's kind of happened to you recently.
Yeah, and I always will give Brian Moses and Jeff Ross the credit because without Roast Battle, none of it would have happened. And I really sincerely mean that. Tyler the Creator saw me. During Roast Battle.
He was doing the wave with us that night.
Yeah. And I also, I've never really thanked him publicly, and I probably should have. Gerard Carmichael is the one who brought him up there. So it's just such a weird.
Thank you, Gerard Carmichael.
But it's such a weird. Like if he doesn't bring Tyler up that night, I think I had a particularly funny night that night. What if I bombed?
Yeah, you never know. There's so many factors that go into it.
Because at that time in Roast Battle, I think it was either. I mean, we always would do well, the Wave or me. But so there'd be some nights you guys would do better, and I would not struggle, but just survive. And then there was nights where I would not necessarily do better, but
yeah, it would be like the game ball goes to Earl this night, or the game ball goes to the Wave this night. We had it was a big ensemble where it's like mutual agreement, like, hey man, got to give you the game ball night. Like I got to give you extra props because you really brought it, and which pushed us all to be
Oh,
better.
for sure. I mean, and Moses was the perfect, like, he could sense, okay, Jeremiah and Jamar and Willie and Haiti, what the fuck, are on tonight. Poor Haiti, just, I mean, the last battle I judged was so bad I gave it to Haiti, even though he hadn't been on the show in 6 months. But, yeah, it's just like Moses could sense, okay, it's their night tonight, or Earl's on fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna set them up a little bit more or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, and so Tyler saw me, and that's how I got on the cartoon I'm on now. And
what do you do exactly on the Jellies? You're the dad, right?
I'm the dad, and I'm pretty much the only white guy in the cartoon, which is crazy.
That's got to be kind of a cool, good feeling. Like they brought you in, like if it's a specific people who are doing, like they're like, well, it's all going to be a mostly black cast, but we got room for Earl Skakel.
I mean, it's wild. I mean, and it's not too, like, I think this season there was certain times where I'm in the booth with another actor who I don't know, and they're African American, and I've got to say some wacky stuff, and this one dude was kind of looking at me, and I'm like, hey man, I'm uncomfortable saying this stuff in front of you. And he's like, you should be. And I'm like, but I didn't write it. Like, and I'm pointing to like Tyler in the window. Like, he wrote it. I'm just saying it, Jack. So
would people get weird with you whenever you're recording sometimes?
Just one time, and I think he understood. It's not like I'm just some guy off the street going, hey, you guys recording? Could I just drop some lines? And I only had one problem in the 4 years I was on Roast Battle of, one time, and I think I'd gone particularly deep that night, and a guy comes up to me in the parking lot, and he's like, hey man, what's with the racist bullshit? I'm like, oh, it's a character like Archie Bunker. And he just looks at me and goes, who's Archie Bunker? And I'm like, hey Moses, this guy wants to talk to you. And I took off. Like I literally ran out of the parking
Well,
lot.
that's a hard explanation. Like if they don't have any reference for what the reference you just made, and then it's just like, oh, I'm just a racist guy that they don't know the character that I'm talking about.
But it's like you'd have to be a moron to think, okay, the show's hosted by a black dude. The wave is 2 of the 3 people in the wave are black.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the great thing about you being the I don't know if it's the official, but it's the unofficial leader. Like I think you're the guy who definitely gave it substance, and like back in the early days when it was like Keith Soul and Jack Knight, it was like a different dude every week. I think Yorsey was in it one week.
People would just kind of hop up. It wasn't like a solidified group. It was crazy.
Well, I think Jack Knight's manager was like, you got to get out of this show, dude. Like, this ain't going anywhere. But like, you've given it. That's like the crazy thing is like you're like the whitest guy I've ever met in my life in terms of like just your look.
Yeah.
If you told me you were from Norway,
I'm alarmingly white.
But that's great. Don't ever apologize for that. But that's like the crazy thing about the show is like here you have like a racist guy. It's like you'd have to be an idiot to think the black host is going to let an actual racist sit over there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Earl, for those of you who don't know, Earl on Roast Battle for years, he was originally he had the title, and there used to be a sign that would say "House Racist" that was literally right next to his head, and it was like closed off section, and it also there's a sign right next to it or right below it that would read "Whites Only."
Yeah.
So you see a very diverse audience. And then all of a sudden, just stage left, you see Earl underneath this "House Racist and Whites Only" sign, and the audience like just doesn't like they don't know what like at first what's going on exactly. They see the signs, but then they see Earl come out, but then he's such a big over the top character with it that is like, oh, this is a parody of somebody who's being racist. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, really, I was making fun of white people, like.
Oh yeah. Well, like when Whitney was doing the show with you, you guys were like this rich, stuck up, like kind of like dumb white couple.
Yeah, Whitney Rice is like the best. Like she like is a much better actress. So she brought the acting chops, and we just had a great chemistry.
Yeah,
and I mean we were dating at the time, so I think that helped because we really knew, okay, this is when Whitney's going to stop. Like I just knew her timing and she knew mine, and but I think the funniest memory I have is when we did La Jolla.
Oh yeah.
And that was like the first, and I don't think that show gets enough credit in the history of Roast Battle. I think that was the first time that all of us looked at each other, Jeff, Moses, The Wave, the House Racist, and his wife. Wow, this show can travel. Because La Jolla traditionally on a Monday night, it was dark. It was it wasn't open. And it was standing room only. And me and Whitney were so convincing as an out-of-control racist couple that like a table of 4 people switched tables with another people, and they're like, hey, can we join you guys? I'm like, we're just acting, right? And I think we disappointed them that we actually weren't too like wild racists.
Whenever we were down in La Jolla, Earl and Whitney were like celebrities after the show. And it was just like, they were like killing with like, ridiculous stuff. But there was definitely some people who got the wrong idea, like what you're saying.
Well, I remember the girl, I think it was either the guy's wife or girlfriend. She looked so disappointed when we and Whitney were like, oh, we're just doing characters. And they're like, oh. You dummy. But I mean, me and Whitney were a strange looking couple just in normal life. Like, I'm this big, like
huge, beefy,
trust
ripped, courageous looking.
Let me tell you, jackals out there,
bespectacled,
because I know a lot of comics are going to be watching this. Oh my God, I wonder if Earl's going to mention me. Guess what? I'm not. But your comedy is a lot like your dicks. You can't follow me. You know it. I know it. And every girl we've shared knows it too. Earl's taking the high road. It's the old saying in life. You like to hear someone's doing pretty good, but you don't want to hear they're doing better than you. And all you greasy, two-faced, sexually charged, open micers, I've done better than all of you. He's done better than all of you. And just remember this, girls. It's one thing to buy a ticket to Space Mountain. Sometimes you can't get tickets to Space Mountain. It's another thing to ride it. Ride Space Mountain, the name of Earl's dick. He's showing off his abs, counting them, flexing, popping, locking. He's so ripped, can you believe it? 49 years old, and I look better than all you baboons in your mid-20s. Oh my God, he's 49, can you believe it? Be 50 in 2 weeks. He'll be 50 in 2 weeks. This audience is creaming their jeans right now. And if it was raining pussy, all you comics watching this right now would get hit in the head with a dick. Sometimes it rains pussy, and other times it doesn't. Sometimes there's clear with a chance of pussy, and then there's other times where it's scattered pussy thunderstorms. And the only way you'll get your name. Oh, sorry about that. The only way you'll get what? The only way you'll get your name on the wall next to mine. The only way you'll get your name on the wall next to Earl's. At the Comedy Store. At the Comedy Store. Is if you blow your brains out underneath it. Yikes.
I feel like it's way more consumable whenever you go on those wrestler rants. Whenever you have auto-tuned backing.
I like it.
You like it? Let's try another one. Do you have something that you've been meaning to get off? What do you like? Do you have anything that you've been wanting to get off your chest?
Let me see. Well, no, I've pretty much done that the last 2 months. Because I'm a warrior. He's a warrior. How many of you tax cheating comics? Tax cheater comics. Let me see that pillow. It's relevant to the conversation. Don't worry. We're cool. How many of you people would block this network on Instagram and Twitter without fear of repercussion? Don't worry, they're unblocked. But for a while, I had to teach them a lesson.
Earl blocked the network. But what's funny about that is the people who run the social media have no idea that you even did that.
Oh, they do. They do.
Aware? Did you talk to somebody about it?
I'm back in the Viacom family. But you mess with daddy.
Don't mess with daddy.
The second time's gonna be as worse as the first. Only this time, I will partake. That's Rick Rude when he came back to fight Sting.
If you mess with daddy, you're the worst. Well, there you go. I can't believe you brought that pillow with you.
I'm a fan of Comedy Central. we had a rocky couple months.
Hey, just like any relationship, man.
You know,
any good relationship, you go through ups and downs.
Go through ups and downs. You know, as someone with no representation, you gotta kind of be like, what can we do to make the situation right?
There we go.
You know,
let's get into this next segment, fanning out.
Fanning out. Questions from fans.
Yeah. Where's your co-host, Justin? Jesus, that guy was the co-host in what 9/11 was to air travel.
I was so curious if you were gonna bring up my buddy Justin Alexio. We used to do this podcast together called The Building Years, and we did that for years. Earl did it years ago, and it's actually in this feed, in the Jeremiah Wonders feed. If you scroll low enough in the feed, most of the episode is Earl making fun of Justin Alexio, and it's so funny because the chemistry between them, there couldn't have been less chemistry between two people.
That guy had the timing of the one-armed drummer in Def Leppard in a juggling contest.
I saw Def Leppard in concert, Iowa State Fair.
Recently, or?
This would have been 10 years ago, probably.
I saw them 2 weeks ago in Nashville.
Oh, yeah? How were they?
Well, it's Journey and Def Leppard, and they're playing in LA in October. And even if you don't like those bands, it's an amazing. It's one of the best pairings of a concert. It's like the OR, like when you see two comics and they know I gotta keep the crowd for this next act.
So they give them a great intro.
Yeah.
They love each other. It's clear that they're friends. And like I love when Bobby Lee will bring up somebody like Sebastian or somebody like that. Like he's like, I went to this guy's wedding. Like blah blah blah. Like this guy, we started out together, and you can just tell like they want the room to be good for the person that's following them.
Yeah. So Journey, they alternate each night, but Journey, the night I was there, was the opening act, and he's not the new singer. He's been with him for like 12 years, but the Filipino dude.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude.
It's weird because he's probably 15 years younger because the other band members are the OG guys. They even brought back Steve Smith, the first drummer, and so it's a weird dynamic to see like this younger-ish singer running around. He's like he's like doing like backflips and all these wacky maneuvers, and then literally the rest of Journey doesn't move 2 inches combined. But it's really fun because. I'm a Steve Perry guy, but if you close your eyes, this guy sounds like Steve Perry.
Yeah.
And then Def Leppard, you could tell it's like, we got to put on a good show now. But they did one of the dickiest things I've ever seen in a concert. They play about an hour and 45 minutes, a little bit longer than Journey, because that night they were the headliner.
Yeah.
And so about an hour and a half in, the drummer is, obviously getting a little tired. He's got one arm, and he's got like 7 pedals, which is how he makes up for, his missing limb. So then they do this acoustic song. I think it's called 2 Steps Back. And I thought, oh, I know this song. This must be when he gets a break. Like he maybe goes backstage for 5 minutes, or he just, I don't know, goes behind the drum kit and just drinks water or something. They make this poor son of a bitch go to the front of the stage and play the maraca for 5 minutes. It's like, it's kind of a dick move. Like, the guy's got one arm. Give him 5 minutes. Like, the maraca is not necessary on that song.
It's not needed.
So that's someone in the band going, fuck this guy.
Yeah, we're going to keep this guy. We're going to make all the money with this guy. Make it work for it. So, Earl, I reach out to people online. They reach right back.
I bet.
And I said, if you could ask Earl any questions, what would it be? And we got some people on Instagram that left some comments. What are some of your favorite music, like music tastes and favorite records that you've listened to? C Johnson 907 on Instagram.
Well, I mean, everyone knows,
He loves Rat. Kiss.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I mean, Vinnie Vincent's so crazy. He got kicked out of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Hello.
Hey.
I like 80s metal just because. That really wasn't worth the effort, to be honest with you. But, you know, it's like you're like 20 years younger than me, so you probably are like, why do you like that genre so much? But if you were on the Sunset Strip in the late 80s, I think people get it because it was unlike any other time that I've seen in music where the Sunset Strip was like an ant farm of hot women. The guys were almost as hot as the girls, and this is pre-internet. So, like, if you were a band like Poison, you'd have to go and put flyers up on the telephone poles.
Yeah.
And, you know, now you would just make an Instagram post or a tweet or a Facebook thing. But then, you know, you'd have, like, not Cinderella, but you'd have, like, Warrant follow the Poison guys. They'd wait for the Poison guys to put their flyers up, and then Warrant would put their flyers up over the Poison guys' flyers. And then Poison would walk back and see that, and they'd put... I mean, it was just guerrilla marketing, like, and everyone's getting laid, and the music was silly, but you know, I mean, it could never fly in this era. I mean, Winger had a hit song called 17.
She's only 17.
Daddy's little girl, old enough to do ya. I mean, they got a platinum record talking about boning a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And
the good old days, right?
Well, Kiss is even worse. They have a song called Christine 16.
Oh, yeah.
And it's even creepier now because they still sing it. Like when Gene was 30, it's like, okay, that's cool. He's talking about it's 70s.
Yeah.
But, you know, because that stuff with Ted Nugent had a song called Jailbait.
Yeah. One of my favorite Kiss songs, and I know that you didn't like this era of Kiss as much, but I love their song. I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me. And I can't get enough to you, baby. Can you give it up to me? Oh, tonight, I want to give it all to you. Kick it now. It's more I was made for me. Girl, I was made for you.
Peter Chris. Oh, I'm sorry. Anton Fig on drums. Oh, oops. Did I just break the fourth wall there?
Whoops.
That was like when Kiss started to break up because the drummer from David Letterman, the legendary Anton Fig, was drumming on Dynasty. And the next Kiss album, Unmasked, which is a great Cars album, which is one of my favorite albums. You talk about
Unmasked?
The guy... it's not a Kiss album. It's the Cars debut album. Might be the most perfect. There's not one bad song on it. Like every Kiss record, it's got like two, 3 good songs. And the rest are filler. Ozzy Osbourne, same thing. Rat.
Somebody else asked at Scribble Official on Instagram, Megadeth or Metallica, both are goats.
I mean, I don't like that kind of music. It's a little too...
Take that.
No, but see, I'm not a hater. Like,
right. Mutual respect for the genre.
I will acknowledge Stevie Ray Vaughan is one of the greatest guitar players of all time, but I don't like his music. I like Metallica. I like Enter Sandman, and I love the cover. They did something that's very rare in that I like their cover of an original better than the original, and that was Thin Lizzy's Whiskey in a Jar. Because it's like a real rocker, Metallica-esque. Like, if you didn't know it was a Thin Lizzy song, you were like, this is a great song.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, Boys Are Back in Town, classic Thin Lizzy song that if you don't know that song, then you know Boys Are Back in Town.
And but I will say I recently saw, and it's along the lines of the Cars, because Rick Ocasek produced 3 of their albums. I saw Weezer in concert.
Dude,
And,
I love Weezer.
Well, they get it. Like, they start off with Buddy Holly.
See, I hate whenever you go to a concert and it's like they don't throw you some breadcrumbs. You're just looking at them like, are you not aware of what we want to hear?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that. Because I went with Adam, and because he was there to see the Pixies, which I didn't have a great interest in. I'm not anti-Pixies, I just don't know them. So the Pixies do their thing, and the arena gets dark, and I'm like, there's no way they would open up with Buddy Holly. And then you hear the live from Arnold's Drive-In, it's Weezer, and the stage lights come on, and it's the Buddy Holly set, like from the video.
Oh,
like,
that's
Arnold's
so
Drive-In.
cool. Yeah.
And so they go right into it, and the crowd is singing every word, and then they go right into Beverly Hills, crowd singing every word. And but they're closeted metalheads. Like Rivers Cuomo, he grew up listening to Rat, and like Poison. They do a great cover. They do great covers. Like that night, they did like 5 covers. You know, they did
that they don't put out. They just sing for fun. They just do covers.
Well, they did the Toto song, Africa.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they brought Weird Al Yankovic out for the solo
Oh,
part.
man.
And he's killing it on the accordion. Like,
Yeah.
it's a faithful cover. And then they did a cover of Aha's Take On Me.
Oh man.
And then they did a Black Sabbath cover of, I think, Paranoid. But their Poison cover of Talk Dirty to Me, you'd think they'd mock Poison. But it's such a good cover, and you could tell they're fans. So, I mean, they're like a bridge between me and like someone your age. Like, they grew up in the middle. They like MTV was huge when Rat and
Yeah.
and another band I'll throw out there is a Wild Horse Selection, is a Bowling for Soup.
You like Bowling for Soup?
I love Bowling for Soup.
Really?
Because they're much like Weezer. Like, they have a sense of humor. They're metalheads. They did that song 1985.
1985.
Springsteen.
Madonna.
You know, I mean, I love High School Never Ends. That's the song that. But their video.
'Cause I almost had you. I love Bowling for Soup. I mean, but like Pat Reagan and I are heavily influenced by that era of music, like the Blink 182s and you know. So many, like Good Charlotte, like all those like pop punk bands that like, you know, and then of course like more all like Sublime. And anyway, Pat Reagan and I we're like working on an album right now, and you can, if you listen to some of the tracks, you're like, oh, these guys are fans of this kind of music.
Right. Well, it's just, I like bands who like don't take themselves that seriously. And,
Exactly.
but
like-
they're good.
Yeah.
Like, they probably my favorite music video of all time is Bowling for Soup's My Weena. Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I have, actually.
There's 2 versions. There's one where it's just what are those little dogs? Not schnauzers. They're low to the
Like
ground.
terriers.
Chihuahuas.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a raunchier version. It's called My Weena, Wena. And if you listen to the song, it's just about a dick. You know, my Weena is lonely tonight. So, but in the wacky version, they have a girl. Oh, whoa, sorry. I'm coming in hot. They have a girl who's dressed up like a huge dick. And like, she's giving them lemonade, and she pours, and it comes out her pee hole into their glasses. Like, it's just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like they're having a barbecue and no one's eating the hamburgers, and then they start wolfing down the 12-inch hot dogs. It's just every sexual innuendo you could. So I love Bowling for Soup too.
I think we're getting a call from. Oh wow, one of the Skakels is calling in.
Hope it's not Michael.
It looks like it's one of your sisters.
Hi, this is Virginia.
Virginia. Thanks for calling in. Are you upset about like how you don't go to concerts with Earl or something because he was just listening to a lot of music?
Well, it's hard for me to go to concerts here in Sequim, Washington, because we don't have an arena. So I don't think U2's gonna play the local farmhouse off the 85.
Oh, the local farmhouse off the 85. They don't get many big acts.
No, they don't get any acts. I mean, Rat would probably play there, but
Well, you could go to Rat with Earl.
yeah, but they don't play near Squim, Washington. Rat are like most comics in LA. It's not a tour if you're at home the next night.
It's not a tour if you're.
If you're not, it's not a tour if
There you go. I'm hearing you better now.
you're in bed the same night as your gig.
Oh, it's not a tour if you're in your own bed the same
Yeah.
night as the gig. But I don't know. And Earl might like. I think that's probably one of the Attention LA Comics things that he's posted on Twitter. That sounds something familiar.
It is. I do attention Squim comics.
Attention Squim Comics as Earl's sister. And I didn't catch your name. What was your name?
My name is Virginia.
Virginia. That's right. Yeah. You got the cutest little laugh, Virginia.
Yeah, I went to Marymount High School, and this is something that Earl probably wouldn't like out there in the ether, but Earl used to play golf at Bel Air Country Club, and the parking lot of Marymount High School was right next to the second tee of Bel Air Country Club, and my brother would slice his balls in purpose into the parking lot, and he would say to my friends with big tits, "Hey girls, have you seen my balls?"
It sounds like Earl has just always had a great sense of humor, even before he became a comedian and was living the lavish life in Beverly Hills.
Well, this is when his pee-pee wasn't quite as endowed as it is now.
Now, Virginia, first off, it's interesting that you know when Earl got a bigger penis. Is that something that recently happened or that like developed over the years? Like, how did you know? Could you tell a noticeable difference once he got a bigger penis?
Well, when we would all swim in the pool, Earl had a bigger bulge than Jimmy and Andrew, his brothers. And my friends all of a sudden would ask me about my little brother. "Hey, can Earl come in the jacuzzi?" And I said, "I bet he can. What the fuck?"
Wow, is this like a Skakel tradition that that you guys have? Is like the what the? It sounds like that's something that's maybe passed around.
Yeah, it's genetic.
Oh, I need you to stay on the line, Virginia. It looks like did you say Andrew is one of your other brothers, right?
Yeah, Andrew lives in Malibu. He surfs all day, and he lives in a mobile home park where he pays $4,000 a month in rent. Obviously, we're not Jewish.
Well, okay, so Andrew, and then it looks like Andrew's calling in from Malibu right now.
Oh, is that you?
Are we having a Skakel family reunion? Or what?
Yeah.
Now, Earl, I've been meaning to talk to you for a while. I think that we need to plan this out and figure out when we're gonna go see a movie or something.
No, I'm good on that. Last time I invited you to a comedy show at the Malibu Inn, I had to leave with my ex-girlfriend through the kitchen. You embarrassed me so much, you idiot.
What did I do that embarrassed you that much? What the fuck?
Well, you were rubbing the host's feet from your seat. The host was a female.
I figured that she had been up all night on her feet, and, I want to be polite. I want to take care of her for a minute, if you know what I'm saying.
Up All Night, that's a good song by the band Slaughter. Up all night, sleep all day. By the way, I just did comedy in Nashville. Front row, the singer from Slaughter, Mark Slaughter.
I saw that. I follow you on social media.
I bet you do.
Virginia, you here?
Yeah, I've got to go. I've got 3 kids and 4 cows and 2 horses.
I bet you do.
What the fuck?
Hey, so are we gonna plan this picnic in a movie or what?
No.
Alright, perfect. I'll see you guys later. What the?
Hold on, I think my horse has some gas. I wonder why my husband on his underwear, the shit stains are in front. Great, now I'm doing bits. Oh, sorry. It's wrong mic. Wrong. Sorry, my bad.
Wow, Virginia, I thought she had a higher voice, and then she's able to drop low just like you. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, drop real low.
I bet she does. She's a Skakel after all.
And I don't mean Rob Lowe.
Let's do one or two more questions, and then we'll pop in the last segment of the show. I like this question a lot. At Franco Domenco on Instagram, your house is on fire, and you can only save one of your hockey jerseys. Which one do you grab?
The Eric Bolton Buffalo Sabres 9/11 jersey. The Buffalo Sabres and the New York Rangers played the first professional sporting event after 9/11. And, I'm sure not a lot of your fans are hockey fans, but, the Rangers, they don't really have a logo, but in their blue home jerseys, it just says Rangers across the front. For that particular game, they wore shirts that said New York across the front. And the Buffalo Sabres, it's a buffalo. Their usual logo on all their jerseys is a buffalo head. And for that particular game, they wore New York across their jerseys. So you could, there was an auction for, they never made any replicas. They made 20 shirts for the Rangers, 20 shirts for the Sabres. And they auctioned them off after the game. And all the proceeds went to the New York firefighters and the police. And the funny thing is the auction was a couple days after the game. And I won Eric Bolton's jersey, in which he got into a fight with Sandy McCarthy in. And for 1 month, they did not wash these jerseys. They literally put them all in one pile. So you had 40 jerseys that went unwashed for a month. Now, if you know anything about hockey, the gear gets incredibly smelly.
Yeah.
I mean, we all work out, go for a run, whatever, and I spray Febreze in my shoes after every workout just so the odor doesn't build up. Hockey jerseys, you sweat. In a typical NHL game, the players will lose 5 to 7 pounds, and that's just in water weight.
Yeah, and the pads retain a lot of stink too. So put that on, you're putting that jersey on top of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I never even really thought of that. You're not only will the jersey smell if you had no pads underneath, but with the pads, it's just an ungodly smell if they go unwashed for 1 day. So for 1 month, you had 40 jerseys sitting in a pile in, Madison Square Garden. I won the Bolton shirt. A couple days later, I got the shirt. I opened it up, and the only time I've ever smelled anything remotely close to this was when I went to go see Stephen Piercy open up for L.A. Guns at the Anaheim House of Blues, and I opened up the door to the floor, the main floor of the House of Blues in Anaheim, and a wall of BO hit me like it was a mustard gas attack. Not a very, I don't think the LA Guns fan base or Stevens believes in soap and water.
Oof.
And this is back when I wore hockey jerseys on stage. And I was so excited. I had a show that night at Coconut Teasers, which for you local yokels, it's now, I think it's Hyde on Sunset and Crescent Heights. It used to be a really good open mic for comics. And this is when I had left the Comedy Store and not gone on there and just went other places. I put the jersey on and I wore it. I didn't have time to wash it. And I smelled so bad that my dear friend Christy Miller, who's was an LA comic, now she's in New York, she just looks at me and goes, "You fucking stink, bro." And to say you stink in an LA open mic in 2004, you stink. Or 2002, actually.
I met Christy with Marino whenever I was out in New York.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah.
That's someone I miss a lot, and someone I started with, and we would just do these god-awful shows, and
You literally used to wear giant hockey jerseys on stage, and Earl had long curly hair,
like a Jew fro,
that went down almost to your shoulders at times, varying degrees of super curls. What caused your hue? Literally, you look completely different than if somebody pulls up an old image of Earl Skakel. What caused that switch as far as look and style? Because you dress pretty hip now. You always have good shoes and and like good quality John Barbados leather.
Barbados. Or now. I've graduated. I mean, I still wear Barbados, but Brooke Worrell, that's Worrell, Worrell. I don't get anything from this plug. She custom makes my pants. I saw her on it. I saw a picture of Duff from Guns N' Roses, and he had these really cool like suede pants on with a leather stripe down the side, and they flare out, not as wacky as bell bottoms, but a nice flare, and I would say the bottom 4 inches are buttons. And I'm like, wow, who made these pants? And I asked my friend Frank, who's in Slasher's band, do you know who makes Duff's pants? He said, oh, this girl Brooke. Now Brooke custom makes me pants, jackets, shirts, whatever daddy wants. I was on 3 shows. 2 have been canceled. So thank you, Tyler, the Creator, for keeping the Skakel slush fund going. So, that's how I dress now.
But you literally like you cut your hair and you started dressing way differently.
Well, in about 2006, and all this happened the same time. 2006, I had a moment at the Comedy Store where I was on a TV show. It was called One Night Stand Up. And it was actually a pretty cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Katz, creator of Last Comic Standing. And, it was a dating show where the girl never sees you. She hears your act. It was 8 comics. It's kind of cool.
That's hilarious, yeah.
And it was like Ian Bagg was on it and a couple other comics, and I was on it. And, I'm Whitney Cummings is the host, and she's calling my name. It's a packed main room. I mean, I had never played the main room at that time. It was like unbelievably packed and cameras everywhere. It was kind of like that first season of Roast Battle where like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm just about to hit the stage in the New York Rangers, and I'll never forget, it was a Matthew Barnaby preseason jersey that I saw him get into this fight in. And Whitney is literally calling my name, and Barry Katz grabs me by the shoulder and goes, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, oh, this is my thing. I wear jerseys on stage. She's like, you can't wear that on stage. I'm like, why not? And she's literally saying, Skakel. He's like, the logo, you idiot. Which now makes sense that the New York Rangers wouldn't want to be associated if I did like some wacky joke.
Right.
So I took off this jersey. I ran on stage. I had this god-awful Affliction T-shirt on. Just like, oh, it's embarrassing that I had this thing on. And then I was a little nervous, so I thought, well, it's a dating show. I'm going to go deep on the first joke. And this is right around the time of the Duke lacrosse case, where the two prostitutes said they were sexually assaulted by 47 lacrosse players. I'm like, hey, everyone, the captain of the Duke lacrosse team, he had a degree in economics, so obviously he knew 47 didn't go into 2. Dead as silent as this room is right now. It was that silent in the Comedy Store, except for Dave Taylor in the back laughing in hysterics. Now, I love Dave Taylor. You love Dave.
I love David Taylor.
But if Dave Taylor's the only one laughing in a room full of 450 people, it's not a good sign.
No, he has a very dark sense of humor.
I mean, incredibly dark. And I was like, wow, that's not good. And then I got nervous, and then I did a joke about blacks and hockey, which is,
And you're like, it would have worked if I had the jersey.
Well, I'm not. It probably wouldn't have in theory, but like then I'm double down. I'm like, well, everyone, doesn't realize that blacks play hockey too, but they all have white names, so we don't have any sports left. And people come up to me and be like, well, you still have horse racing. I'm like, well, the jockeys are white, but the ones being whipped are still black.
I was just bearing.
Oh my God! I mean, I had 7 shovels working simultaneously.
Is that one of your worst bombs today?
It's the worst bomb by far.
Because that's a TV taping too.
Well, luckily, now I realize that most pilots never get on the air.
Yeah.
So luckily for me.
Luckily it didn't air.
And the comic before me, a Canadian comic by the name of Rob Pugh.
Pew,
He was killing. I mean, he was. So I was like set up for success. Still one of the best sets I've ever seen in the main room. So I can't blame the crowd. I can't,
Another thing that you would do late night, which you'll still do if we happen to be in the back. If somebody has a joke that bombs or something, you'll just hear from the back of the room.
Well, it depends on who it is, though.
Right.
If I know the person, which I think a lot of people don't get at the Comedy Store. Like, if you don't know someone, or even worse, if you don't like them, you'll just be quiet.
I think one of the literally, I want to say in the top probably 15 to 20 moments, which as a comedian, if it's different for comedians, like as far as how hard we laugh sometimes, like when we're riffing or whatever, top 15 or 20 times, Earl and I are in the back of the room and I don't remember who is on stage, but you are ripping it, like just huge farts. And you pulled down your pants in the back and let out the biggest fart while a comic was on stage, to the point where it completely, like, it was the worst heckle ever, to the point where everybody's looking around the room wondering who is farting. And I remember falling to the ground, hitting the floor and crying laughing, just not even caring how loud we were being, because the situation was so funny that Earl would pull his pants down mid-show and rip a huge fart into the crowd. I don't know.
Well, you have this great laugh because it's like a horse laugh. It's like when you like really genuinely think something's funny.
Yeah.
You have this great like
Yeah,
like
it's
you're choking on
yeah,
something.
no, I'm literally like choking on laughter. Like I just start like turned super red, started getting all veiny in my neck and my face and everything. And dude,
Well, I mean, sometimes I eat so much protein and broccoli and beans and sprouts and bars and shakes that my asshole is just like a ring of fire. And it always seems to hit me late night in the OR. So, and it's, the only time it's ever caused a problem was, going back to Don, he lets us do our thing when he's up there. I said, because I would do this thing with him when I would have a fart coming. I would like frantically raise my hand and go, Don, question,
Question
please.
back, question
You
back,
gotta-"
question back.
I wouldn't care if he was in the middle of a bit, although, I was trying not to be disrespectful, but I knew like the timing of my gas. Like, Don, I got to ask you something literally right now, and Don would know. And I cut a fart that was so disgustingly smelly, it cleared out the room. And Don had no one to play with. And he got mad at me, and rightfully so. It's the only time Don's ever been mad at me. It was, I can't explain to you.
it cleared out the room.
Literally, and it was like probably 40 people in there, and I was doing everything I could to get the smell out, because it started in the back, where Mitzi used to sit, where we all sit now, and got to the front of the room like an atomic bomb cloud. There was nothing that could be done.
Oh my goodness.
So, I apologize to Don.
So, just trying to make it.
It's just, you get caught up at the store sometimes of gas and, putting some gassers out there, nakedness. I mean, I know a few times you've been in the back row watching Who's Ever Up and they were bombing. So I'd go into the OR bathroom.
It's like a side hallway, basically. Like the OR is like this, like it's like a rectangle, but then there's like another little rectangle that's super small in the very back of the back corner of the OR.
So I would stand in the hallway of the back bathroom and like show Jeremiah my dick, and I would be like jacking off, or I would bend over and say, "Hey, how do I spell Bob? I've got the O," and it probably was insane for the comic on stage to see Jeremiah laughing hysterically, and everyone
And this
else.
is when this is like we've all been waiting for hours to go up. This is during the open mic portion on Mondays, or whenever they used to have it on Sundays, and we'd go so late and wait for hours, and the room is literally dead. Nobody's doing well on stage. And then Earl is in the back, he's unseen to everybody else except me, and I'm dying laughing and cackling. And just everybody's looking back at me like, why are you acting crazy and spastic right now and laughing? And like I would turn back around, and it was like a Batman thing. Earl was nowhere to be seen.
I'm like the Predator. I don't mean Harvey Weinstein.
Literally and figuratively. What the?
I do one impression. It's
Oh, yeah?
of the Predator.
Okay. Hello? Is anybody there? Ah! That's great, man.
Not really.
We're going to end with this final segment, Sax Talk. Oh, Sax Talk. All right, Earl, I prepped you. You're going to share a story of a sexual encounter, and I'm going to play some sweet, sweet saxophone underneath to sax it up whenever you're ready.
But before you start playing, in full disclosure, this is it's a true story, but it's a joke I do on stage. But it actually happened to me. It's the first time I had sex.
First time Earl Skakel had sex. Here we go.
1989. I was 21 years old. I was dating a lovely girl I met at Family Fitness Center on Pico and Beverly. It's now 24-hour fitness. I won't say her name, but I was sleeping. She came over. We had been dating about 3 months. Now, I was a virgin. Never had sex. Very inexperienced. I slept in the nude back then. She jumped on me. I awokened. And let's just say my emotions started to rise. And I was literally inside of her. No condom. She says to me, "Wait." Now, to tell a 21-year-old man who'd never had sex before, with his penis inside of you, "Wait," is like telling an abused pit bull at Michael Vick's house, "Don't eat that bowl of food right now." Luckily, I thought, well, she's going to want to use a condom. But I got scared because I thought to myself, by the time she puts it on me, I'm not going to need it anymore. So she starts rifling through her purse. She pulls out a CD. She wanted our first time to be to music. And I saw the CD cover was Guns N' Roses. Now, I got really nervous because I didn't want to have sex for the very first time to Welcome to the Jungle. Luckily for me, it was a ballad off their second album. It was a song called Patience. And if you think about it, that song, the title of the song, totally encaptures what a first time should be for both of you. Because I really didn't want to have sex to Welcome to the Jungle. Do you know where you are? Yeah, I do, Axel, and you're not helping me get there. And it was so good. The song set the tone so good that I lasted until the whistling part. Now, some of your fans might not know that song. Let me say this. You hit play, and Axel starts to whistle. but because I was 21, I reloaded real fast. And that's the story of the first time I made love.
So you lasted almost the entire album? That's what you're saying?
No, well, it was an EP. It was only 5 songs, but
I bet it was.
I literally squirted when Axl started to whistle. But I had amazing recovery powers back then, so by the time Night Train kicked in, I was blasting.
Just blasting away, dude.
It's a double one.
Well, dude, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah, dude, you're a good dude.
You're one of the good ones, man.
I try. It's a tough business to, maintain your brain, but
Maintain the brain while you drain the vein.
And I got a big vein. But it's because of people like you, and well, that's about it, actually, to be honest with you. Steve Simone.
He's got a big vein because of people like me and Steve Simone. You heard it first here on Jeremiah Wonders.
I mean, there's literally 5 nice people in this business that are genuinely nice. Of course, there's people that are nice to you when they can get something from you or whatever. But genuine, I can't help you. You've always been good to me. Steve Simone, same thing. And trying to think of a few others. But thank God there's a few of us.
Yeah. Oh, well, do you want anything to plug before you go? You got a great podcast called Inappropriate Earl that's been in the top 10 a bunch lately on the iTunes charts.
Yeah, it's on iTunes and SoundCloud, and then on Twitter and Instagram. I'm just Earl Skakel, EarlSkakel, and I'm not allowed to say much about the show, but I'll just say this: make sure your Adult Swim and Cartoon Network subscriptions are up and running on Sunday nights.
When is that?
I can't say anything.
You can't say when it comes out?
I can't even. I don't know what show you're talking about. I'm just letting people know.
Just stay up to date because it might be dropping soon.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, buddy. Thanks so much for doing the show.
Love you.